Thank you very much, Stephen. Well, as you've seen, President Cyril Ramaphosa is actually delivering his response to the National Assembly when it comes to the presidency budget vote. And as you've seen in the past couple of weeks, he and his other members of the executive are doing the same thing for their budget. Why is this important? Well, the Financial and Fiscal Commission has today made recommendations to the government as to what to do about the state of the finances and how they should approach next year's national budget. The FFC is an independent juristic constitutional institution that reports to Parliament and provincial legislatures on how all levels of government must approach finances in order to achieve service delivery. For more on these latest developments, we are joined by Dr. Nombeko Mbava, who is the chairperson of the FFC. Dr. Mbava, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. This is an important recommendation. Every year, the FFC, as a legislative a jurisdiction body in South Africa, tasked with being really a watchdog on how finances are actually happening. You do this every year. Let's talk about the importance of the budget votes first. What President Cyril Ramaphosa is currently doing in Parliament, along with his other members of the executive. How important is this particular process?
This particular process, the budget votes, is quite critical in terms of our fiscal sustainability and also our medium-term expenditure framework. So all the national departments of government must now account to Parliament with regards to their expenditure for the year, and also make proposal as well as to how much money they need in the current or in the next financial year, and what is that those finances are going to be used for. It's also an opportunity for the public as well to interrogate government as to how effective it has been in using the public purse. So all government departments now go to Parliament, and parliamentarians interrogate their performance over the financial year. And then after that, they can make recommendations now in terms of their budget allocations going forward for the next financial year.
Let's talk about the Commission's work. The Commission, which you chair, has today made recommendations about what National Treasury and other departments in government, in other levels of government, must approach the national fiscus, the government money, as it were. You've spoken about a number of issues in the report that you released today, and social relief of distress grant is something that is quite topical at the moment. You are suggesting that the 350 Rand social relief of distress grant must be recalculated. And in a way, it sounds like you are saying that the 350 Rand figure was a thumbs up. Talk to us about that first before we get to the others.
Yes, thank you so much for that, Xolani. So our research, we have found that the current 350 Rand was actually an arbitrary figure. It was not really founded on a basket of goods that a household can actually buy. Because also of inflation and also inflation of time, we do believe that that amount is not adequate. So we are recommending an amount of 415 Rand as a minimum to actually be a basis to fund this SRD grant at an individual basis. We also see the SRD grant as well as a precursor to the basic income grant, which we believe that we need as a social safety net. So we are also looking at how government has implemented the SRD grant. So we will see that SASSA has sent back to the fiscus 1.8 billion, and then again they sent back 3.5 billion as money which was unused. So we are questioning that, and we are questioning the way the SRD grant has been implemented, and we are saying that this implementation needs to be reviewed properly so that when we do have a permanent basic income grant, we can actually be able to reach a wider safety net. We also believe that government needs to also work together with other parties to ensure that there is integration of all policy tools on this social safety net to enable our people to be able to benefit. Because currently we feel that the current economic environment, inflation, the cost of food, the cost of fuel, has actually a stronger negative impact on the most vulnerable of our people. Therefore, we need a wider social safety net to protect them.
What do you say to those who argue that a basic income grant would financially cripple the state because it is a lot of money that is being added as another layer of public support?
We believe that we need to do a proper exercise and look at the costs and benefit and present proper numbers as to how this can be funded. We are also mindful as well that our fiscal space is quite constrained, and therefore in that regard, we have maintained that government needs to continue with its fiscal consolidation path, and we are actually recommending that government try to achieve a primary surplus balance on its budget. So when we have a primary surplus, we will be able to have enough money to fund things like your infrastructure and to even fund the SRD grant. So there is money in the system which can be found and used efficiently, but it means that we need to look at our fiscus properly to ensure that it's sustainable. So as a start, let's aim for a primary budget surplus as government. Once we have that budget surplus, then we can be able to see now what can we fund, including the SRD grant.
Let's talk about the state-owned entities. South Africa has over 700 of them, and the most famous ones are the ones that are actually failing or have failed, such as SAA and Eskom, that are actually failing when it comes to their mandate. In this particular report, you have recommended that the National Treasury and government should actually relook at how SOEs raise money and they borrow money even through issuing of bonds. What exactly are you recommending here? Because some other things that are in this report include that SOEs must be subjected to the same labor and employment regulations as those in the private sector. There should be an eradication of any local content obligations for SOEs and rationalizing procurement procedures. Talk to us about state-owned entities and your recommendations.
Thank you so much for that. So one of our key recommendations is to say that we need to look at reducing risks that we call quasi-fiscal risks. These are risks that emanate from the way state-owned enterprises are managed. For instance, we are also recommending that state-owned enterprises should also be provided with ways in which they can compete in competitive markets like any other business. And also, we also believe that they should also be regulated to protect them from monopolistic and oligopolistic environments. We are also proposing that they should also be managed properly in terms of having proper governance. And we also propose that we should be mindful of political interference when it comes to the management of the boards of state-owned enterprises. So the boards must be allowed to run these entities properly within good governance as well. So what we're saying is that fiscal governance is critical, and we are also saying that we also need fiscal transparency in the way these state-owned entities are managed. So we need to see their financial statements, they need to account properly, and we need to see the returns that they make, and we need to see as well their profitability. So they must not also be constrained. They must be able to do business in a way that is transparent within a regulated environment, and they must also be protected as well.
And you are saying that a holding company, South Africa, the government must create a holding company to actually manage all of these SOEs.
Yes, so what we're saying here is that when we have this centralized holding company, this company will be able now to ensure that it looks at the debt at a consolidated level of all the state-owned entities. It will also look at their expenditure plans and also look at their inherent risks and their operations. So they will all be under this holding company, and they will be better managed in this instance. This is what we are recommending.
Lastly, Dr. Mbava, this is quite a voluminous report, quite detailed, and it also tackles vital sub-national issues on learner-teacher support, including materials, including learner support. Briefly, what are the recommendations there?
So with the learner transport, with the learner support material, we were making recommendations to the executive, the Minister of Basic Education through the Minister of Finance. We are saying that learner-teacher support materials are critical, and that the LTSM policy, which is the learner-teacher support material policy, which has been stalled since 2014, it really needs to be implemented, especially for Quintile 1, Quintile 2, and Quintile 3 schools. So we are also making strong recommendations as well with regards to the regulations around learner transport. Learner transport has become very, very critical, and regulations and safety concerns around it, we are making some strong recommendations on that as well.
Dr. Nombeko Mbava is the chairperson of the Financial and Fiscal Commission. Thank you very much for your time.